Hey guys, Bisket here with another video. So today is part 10 on how to make a FNAF fan game on Scratch. Now, before we get into this, a lot of people have been saying that this script right here, the movement kind of thing, doesn't work, and I do have a fix for that. So if it does work for you, then you can just skip ahead. If it doesn't, then you can do this. Essentially, we don't need this script, so if it doesn't work for you, just remove it. We don't need that. But then make this script. So let me deconstruct it for you. I have it in my backpack, so it's essentially this. So forever go to this. Forever go to 10, 10, whatever. And then we want to put these slashes in, so forward slash, and then mouse Y, and then put -85 here, and then put that there. And then mouse X, we want to put the slash, forward slash, and then -5, and then put that here. And then we want to, of course, connect it under this office where the original script was. This is a fix for you guys if it didn't work the original time. And you should also do that to the office here too, so we can get rid of this code. Put it to the door, put it to the office, stuff like that. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to put it in here. We're going to put it there. Okay, and what you probably do want to do, just to make sure this works really well, is you probably want to set the size to 115%, so 115. This will ensure that you can't really go out of the bounds of the office. It will, I can show you here. You can see it like this. Obviously, we haven't enabled this code yet, so it looks like it's going around all over the place. But this is what it looks like. And, yeah, I think it's pretty good. So anyway, yeah, so if you didn't know how to, if you were glitching, just put this code in. And also, if you did do the change, make sure to put it in this door animation too. So just put the simple code like when flag is clicked, forever do this, and then yeah, don't change the values in here or anything. So yeah, I've had lots of people saying that was a glitch. So if that was a problem with you, there you go. And now it should work, and instead of looking side to side, you can kind of look more around and stuff. So anyway, in this tutorial, I'm going to show you animatronic movement. Now, this is going to be shorter, but you guys are going to have to probably pay a lot of attention to this. So, since we only have 2 cameras right now, we're just going to make it one animatronic go from cam 1 to cam 2, essentially. Pretty easy. So what we first want to do is we first want to start out with duplicating the stage camera thing. So just duplicate it right there. Now we're going to take our animatronic models, and let's say, for example, we're going to put Toad here. So in the duplicated one, just put Toad like this, or wherever you want him to go. So essentially, this is what he's going to look like on the stage. There, just like that. And then now we have a frame with him and a frame without him. And he's going to be moving to cam 2. It doesn't matter. He can move to any camera you want. So now we're going to duplicate this, and then we're going to put him in here. So essentially 1 frame without any animatronics and 1 frame with the animatronics. So just like that, he's going to kind of be in here. Of course, we can make this go back a little bit. So yeah, that's going to be him right here. So he's going to be kind of on the ground in this frame. Okay, so now you've set up the visuals. That's the fairly simple part. Now what you have to do is we're going to make a new sprite. This sprite is going to be called Kurt AI, or whatever your animatronic is called, and then A.I. You can call it movement script, whatever you want. It should probably be called movement script, but whatever. Okay, for this is where it gets kind of hard. So this doesn't have anything in it, so let's just start up our base code when flag is clicked. Hide, go to 0, 0. Usually what I like to do to keep this organized is I like having Toad here so I can tell whose AI it is instead of having to read it, so I can see Toad AI and then Toad here. So it is going to hide at the start. Now here's the kind of complicated part. You have to go to variables, and we're going to have to create a new variable called Toad movement, or whatever your animatronic's name is, and this is going to be for all sprites, and we're just going to click OK. Now to simply set up this variable, we're going to put hide, so when flag is clicked, hide variable Toad movement, and we're going to set tote movement to 1. Essentially, this is his position or whatever he is in the cams. Now, you could call it tote position or animatronic position. For now, we're just going to call it movement since this is the main movement script. Okay, so now what we want to do after we set that up is we want to go when flag is when I receive office. So this is essentially when we show office. We want to repeat until. So let's put a repeat until after that. Repeat until. So toad is gonna have kind of he's gonna have 4 kind of movements. So to explain this logically, cam 1 is gonna be his first movement, cam 2 is gonna be his second movement, and then he's essentially gonna have 4, and then cam 3, cam 4, etc. before he attacks you. So repeat until. Let's put tote equals 5, so he's 5 movements. 4 movements are him moving in the cameras, and then when he equals 5, that's when he's going to attack you and you can defend essentially. That's going to be for next episode. So when I receive office, repeat until tote movement equals 5. And what we're going to do is now we're actually going to make how fast he moves. So yeah, I would suggest putting a wait 1 second here. Obviously we're going to change that. What I like to do is random, so put a pick random in here. This essentially makes the movement random so that he constantly, so there's not really a set movement plan. Of course you can set parentheses and stuff, so I usually do, for a good basis, let's say 20 to 45 seconds. So he's going to move every 20 to 45 seconds, anywhere in between that range. After that, we're going to put change tote movement by 1, so essentially now it equals 2. And yeah, that's a pretty basic script, except the part where it becomes complicated is where you have to code this stuff, so you actually make them have to show up. So this is pretty simple, and then at the end of this we're going to put a new broadcast, and we're going to put broadcast tote attack. So essentially, when he equals 5, he's going to broadcast attack, and if you want to, you should probably put a stop this script at the end of this. Now, that's actually the basic movement script for the Animatronic. It's fairly easy. Of course, we have to do a lot more, like actually make him show on the cameras and stuff. So, yeah, it's essentially just repeat until toad equals 5, pick random 20 to 45 seconds, change his position by 1, and then if it does equal 5, broadcast toad attack. And then, yeah, stop this script. So, essentially now, what we have to do is we actually have to make his movement position correspond to the cameras. So, let's say when I receive cam 1, if and then equals, and if and then tote movement equals 1. Now, we probably should replace this with an if and then else, so we can just localize that a little bit more. So, when I receive cam 1, if and then else, if and then, I guess, tote movement equals 1, switch costume to costume 3. Costume 3 essentially has tote in it, so this is if he's in it. So, we can rename costume 3 something like with tote or something like that. And we can name this one to with tote as well. So, anyway, it's going to switch costume to costume with tote. But if not, so essentially if he's not there, switch costume to costume 1. So essentially if he is there, switch it to that. If he isn't there, switch it to this. Switch it to this one if he isn't there. So that's the fairly basic code for this as well. Now what you do want to do is you do want to do the same thing for cam 2. So when I receive cam 2, if and then tote movement equals 2 this time, switch costume to with tote 2. If not, switch costume to costume 2. So essentially this one without him, this one with him. Now what we do want to do is we do want to make sure we don't have any, essentially we want to make sure we don't have any like overriding code here. So you see when I receive cam 1 do this, it's an issue because it switches costume to costume 1, which essentially means they're going to fight with each other. This code is going to fight with each other. So you can just remove that. Found another one here, when I receive cam 2, switch costume to costume 2, so just remove that because these pieces of code are essentially going to fight with each other. Now when I receive cam up, switch costume to costume 1, we don't want this to happen, so we're just going to put repeat too. So we're just going to take that out so it doesn't override each other. Essentially, what we do want to do is when I receive cam up though, we want to broadcast cam 1 since we're going to start on whatever cam 1. And then that's of course going to initiate this and stuff. So that is actually how you make him move around and stuff. Now, what should happen in your project is every 20 to 45 seconds he should move. Now I'm going to show you here, but I'll cut this part out because this is a little... So if you see here, now that we added that different movement script, nothing will really move around here. Of course, what we probably should change is we should make this go to the position we want, which we can do after. But this is what the new updated movement looks like, so yeah. And of course, we have to make these things go to the certain position they want. So anyway, let's check the camera here. And there is a couple glitch fixes we need to make. So quickly, we're just gonna go when I receive cam up, hide the door thing, and then we're gonna put that in the door thing, in the door button as well. And now you can see that Turt is actually right here, so he's just chilling, not much to do, and as you can see now, he moved, and look, he's right here. And that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool, so he moves between here and here. Now, one thing I would recommend, and this is just a simple change here, is that I would recommend that if and then when I receive, so if Turt movement does equal this, so what I would recommend is, of course, since we added the new movement kind of for the buttons and stuff within the office, I would recommend making this go to where you now want it to go. So it might have messed that up for you, and I'm sorry about that, but we can change that pretty easily by simply just, I'm gonna just quickly make this stuff hide. Of course, make the monitor hide. Office effect hide. Okay. So what we can do now is we can make the door thing show, of course, and we're going to essentially do this. So we quickly want to remove the when spiders click so it doesn't mess up. So we do want to put it here. Let's just put it here for now and stuff. And we obviously want to change the coordinates to -4. In my case, it's -4 and -13. And we definitely do want to do that for the door animation as well. So currently, let's switch the costume to costume 1. And then let's make it show. Yeah, so obviously this is not the position we want, so let's just simply drag it over here on the stage. And then instead of making it go to this, let's make it -179 and 18. So this is essentially happens because we changed up the whole movement and stuff. So anyway, now you should be good and everything should be positioned. If Turt doesn't move, make sure to really check this code right here. This is important. And anyway, if you guys also, what I recommend doing is adding an audio cue for the movement. So this is just a placeholder. Let's just search up footsteps. And let's make it as loud as possible so we can hear it really nice. And this is a pretty long sound, so we're just going to select this and delete. So now that's the new sound, and of course every time he moves, you will play the sound footsteps. And that's just an audio cue to tell a player that essentially he's moving around. Now, next tutorial is going to be even more complicated, I would say. If you found this one easy, that's really good. If you found this one a little bit hard, just like go back and make sure your code looks exactly like this. Same with the cameras and stuff. So next tutorial is going to be making the animatronics actually attack. So Turt is going to come from the door, and you're going to learn how to essentially code it so you can defend against him and what happens when he attacks. And then we might also do some jump scare stuff. So anyway, guys, on that note, bye!